Best is pregnant, so my fiancé can't marry me. On the eve of the wedding, my fiancé texted me a photo of him in bed with my best. Mindy's pregnant, I can't marry you. I have to take responsibility for her. I teased him, perfect. The moment the kid's born it can call me mom, saves me the trouble of giving birth. She can be the main wife, I'll be the side piece, the three of us can live together. He exploded, have you lost your mind? Marry my older. He won't last a year. Once he dies you'll own half of the Vance fortune. I licked my lips, fine. But don't come crying that you didn't marry me. He promised, relax. Whoever regrets this is a dog. Later, he wrapped himself around my legs and begged on his knees, Lily, please don't ditch me. Or let me serve you alongside older, I'll be the side guy, deal? Before we go on, subscribe to this channel and tell us in the comments where you're tuning in. 1. Lily, we can't get married. Attached was a selfie of him and my dear best in bed. I stared at Mindy's flushed face, my stomach churning. The phone rang almost immediately and I picked up. Jason, Lily, I'm sorry. Mindy's pregnant, I have to take responsibility. All these years together, and they're wiped out by one baby? I pretended to beg, letting hurt lace my voice. Lily, you don't get it. Mindy and I are the real thing. With you, it was mostly habit and duty. True love? I gave a cold laugh. End of year KPI panic, every lame joke gets trotted out. I laughed, perfect. The moment the kid's born it can call me mom, saves me the trouble of giving birth. She can be the main wife, I'll be the side piece, the three of us can live together. Lily, you've lost it. Jason's voice shot up. I'm being serious, so am I. I dug a finger in my ear. You keep the marriage certificate, I keep the supply chain. The baby gets a complete family the second it arrives, win-win. He was so mad his breathing rasped, stop twisting my words. I'm informing you, not discussing it. Look, he switched tone, magnanimous now, I won't let you lose out. My older, Adrian, you know him. He had that crash a year ago, he's comatose. Docs give him less than a year. Marry him. When he's gone, mom says half the Vance assets are yours. That payoff keeps you set for life. I did rapid mental math on the Vance fortune. It wasn't pocket change. Trade 1 year of marriage for lifelong freedom, sounded like a steal. Your mom will agree? They'll agree. Before the coma, all he worried about was you. He's always liked you, it's his final wish. To give him peace, mom will sign off on anything. Another likes me claim. Funny, I never noticed. Deal. I licked my dry lips. But Jason, don't regret not marrying me. He snorted like I'd told the year's best joke. Relax. Whoever regrets this is a dog. Huh, he thought I cared about him? I only mourned the lavish wedding I'd spent 6 months orchestrating. Still, swap one ceremony for half the Vance empire? Not a bad trade, wedding proceeds as planned. I made the call. Just swapping the groom. I hung up before he could finish. Next day I stepped into the aisle in a 7-figure custom gown, Dad's arm in mine. Jason and Mindy stood as best man and bridesmaid. He wore his sharp tucks, smugness intact. Mindy's bridesmaid dress hugged a small bump, her face lit with triumph. Guests whispered, pointing at the groom's wall-sized portrait. The man in it, my brand new husband Adrian, lay motionless, eyes closed. A sleeping prince out of a fairy tale. The priest began the vows. Lily, do you take this man, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, until death parts you? I said, I do. Jason sneered. Mindy tightened her grip on his arm, throwing me a victory glare. I couldn't care less. Front row, Mom and Richard Vance, faces grave, eyes red. Beside them, an empty wheelchair. 2. After the reception I whisked off my veil, changed into something light, and drove straight to the Vance mansion. My new husband Adrian lay on the sunniest, quietest floor, 3rd level, end of the hall. I pushed the door, antiseptic hit me. Adrian rested on the bed, tubes crisscrossing his body, monitors beeped a steady rhythm. Thinner than in photos, skin pale, lips drained of color. Long lashes cast shadows, straight nose, beautiful mouth. Even illness couldn't dull those looks. I settled into the chair beside him. Hey, Adrian. I brushed his fingertips, ice cold. From today I'm your wife. This marriage sounds insane, but don't worry, I'll take care of you this year. I rambled on, not knowing if a word got through. Only the machines and my voice disturbed the hush. A private finally stepped in to say visitation was over. I moved into the adjoining room, Jason's thoughtful arrangement so I could nurse Adrian. That night Jason messaged me. So, how's babysitting a corpse feel? Photo attached. Candlelit beach dinner, Mindy curled against him, beaming. I replied with a close-up of Adrian. Great, my Adrian's gorgeous. Silence for ages. Lily, stop being too proud to admit you're hurting. Cry if you need to. I smiled at the screen. Cry over getting half the Vance fortune, or cry that you're finally out of my life. He choked. Eventually. Wait. 3 days tops and you'll beg me to haul you out of that mausoleum. I blocked and deleted. Peace at last. Days became routine, me and Adrian. I read him headlines, spun playlists, recounted whatever nonsense happened that day. No response, yet the room felt calm. At first Mom kept cool distance, but seeing me tend Adrian so closely, she thawed, sending tonics, reminding me to rest. One afternoon I was wiping Adrian's hand when Jason and Mindy barged in. Mindy clung to Jason's arm, heels clacking. We came to check on you, Lily. Her gaze swept me, then landed on Adrian with disgust. Stinks in here. Can't believe you stay. She leaned toward the bed, voice sweet poisoned, older, you're a burden. Let Lily go, just slip away. The second the words left her mouth the heart rate monitor shrieked, numbers rocketing. Mindy screamed and stumbled back. Jason went white, then blustered, loose wire, probably. He reached to yank the let me fix this before some nurse screws up. I watched, stone cold. Hidden beneath the warm towel I'd wrapped moments earlier, Adrian's supposedly dead hand clamped around my wrist. The force behind it was unmistakable. My heart gave a violent lurch. He knew. He knew everything. A strange swell of confidence rose from the pit of my stomach. I lifted my chin, smiled at them, and pressed the call button on the bedside panel. You're disturbing Adrian's rest. I studied their startled, shifting expressions and enunciated every word. If you send him into another crisis, do you have enough to pay for half the Vance fortune? 3. The instant the words left my lips, doctors and nurses burst in, catching Jason and Mindy red-handed. What's going on? Why did the patient's heart rate spike? The doctor's voice cracked like a whip. Jason and Mindy looked ashen, stammering, unable to string a sentence together. I ignored them and spoke only to the doctor. They came to visit, but they got emotional and frightened my husband. The doctor glanced at the two of them, still rattled, then at the monitor that now showed a calm line after its wild dance. Understanding flashed in his eyes. He launched into a full neurological workup at once. Meanwhile, Eleanor and Richard hurried in, colliding with the scene. Eleanor slapped Mindy across the face on the spot. Richard jabbed a finger at Jason and barked at him to get out. The test results came back faster than usual, and the doctor looked stunned. A miracle, an absolute medical miracle. Vance's brainwave activity is several times higher than before, and his reflexes are showing remarkable recovery. Casey, tears streaming, seized my hands. Lily, you're the family's lucky star. Adrian, he really might come back to us. Jason and Mindy looked darker than the bottom of a cast-iron pot. They must have realized the Avery they'd shoved onto me had just been jolted toward consciousness. If Adrian actually woke up, my promise of half the fortune would turn into a worthless IOU. Worse, I'd become the legitimate Vance, while Jason, an illegitimate who tried to kill his older, would be left out in the cold. I strolled over and gave his shoulder a pat. Jason, I said sweetly, what did I tell you? Adrian's blessed, he won't die that easily. His mouth twitched into a smile uglier than a grimace. Oh really? That's wonderful. Mindy's face was paper white. She must have seen it too. The baby in her belly, once her winning chip, had become a punchline. That night I stayed alone in the hospital room. I sat by the bed, holding Adrian's hand, reliving that firm squeeze from the afternoon. Did you hear? The doctor says you might wake up. Were you awake all along, just trying to scare me? You have to get better soon. I'm still waiting for you to take me to see the aurora. That had been Jason's promise. After the wedding, he'd said. Thinking about it now, the irony stung. I was lost in thought when warmth spread across my palm. Adrian's fingers curled around mine. The pressure was gentle but unyielding. I looked up in shock and met deep, star-flecked eyes. He was awake. He simply gazed at me, the universe hidden in his pupils. My heart skipped a beat. 4. The air froze under that locked gaze. I stared back, mind blank, every prepared line jammed in my throat. He was awake, my husband in name only, the man everyone had pronounced dead. He didn't speak, he just watched me. Those eyes were so deep they made me flustered. Instinctively I tried to pull my hand free. He held tighter. His palm was dry and warm, nothing like the chill I'd grown used to. You. I finally found my voice, hoarse. When did you wake up? His lips parted, but only a rasp of air escaped. Years of silence had left his vocal cords stiff. I poured a glass of warm water, dipped a cotton swab, and moistened his lips. Take your time. His eyes softened as he watched me. I helped him sit up against the pillows. He moved slowly, muscles still uncooperative. How do you feel? Any pain? He shook his head. Then, with effort, he lifted a hand and pointed to his throat. I understood. The doctor says your voice needs time. It's okay, we have plenty of that. I fetched paper and a pen and gave them to him. With deliberate strokes he wrote 2 words. Sam. The characters were clean and strong, nothing like someone who'd been comatose for a year. The suspicion flickered again. Were you actually awake long before this? He looked at me, neither confirming nor denying, but in his eyes passed an emotion I couldn't read. Before I could press, the door swung open. Eleanor, Richard, and Jason walked in. When they saw Adrian propped up and awake, all 3 froze. Adrian. Eleanor was first to recover, rushing to the bed in tears. You're alive, really alive. Richard's eyes reddened, words stuck in his throat. Only Jason remained planted, face bloodless as if he'd seen a ghost. He glared at Adrian, shock, fear, and venom twisted together. Adrian's gaze flicked past him without pause. Finally he looked at me, and in front of everyone, lifted his hand and brushed my hair with gentle affection. At that moment Jason's face turned the color of spoiled milk. 5. News of Adrian's awakening detonated inside the Vance household. Eleanor and Richard were over the moon, Jason was in hell. The next morning the family hired an elite rehab team, and Adrian's progress was absurdly fast. Within a week he was walking. 2 weeks later, his speech came back clear and resonant, low, musical, like the last note of a cello. That afternoon I wheeled him through the garden. Sunlight poured over him, gilding his silhouette. Did I scare you that day? He asked suddenly. I blinked, realizing he meant the moment he'd opened his eyes. A little, I admitted. Mostly it was joy. He studied me, flecks of sun dancing in his dark irises. Actually, I woke up long ago. My suspicion solidified. When? 3 days after you married me. Shock rippled through me. He'd heard every one-sided conversation I'd held at his bedside. Heat crawled up my cheeks. Why didn't you let us know? I wanted to see what show certain people would put on. His tone was mild, but the undercurrent was ice cold. I understood who those certain people were. So the coma was rat-trapping. Succinct as ever. Adrian was never a lamb to the slaughter. He was a lion playing dead, waiting to maul his dear little brother. Then what about me? I asked. Was I just another chess piece? He went silent. The garden breeze carried the scent of grass and blossoms. Finally he spoke, unhurried. At first, yes. My heart dipped. But not later. He turned, meeting my eyes with unwavering honesty. Lily, Sam, you agreed to marry me, even when it was only business. I turned my face away, looking elsewhere. No need to, Sam. We each took what we needed. He gave a soft laugh, and let the subject drop. In the days that followed, Adrian began handling company business again. Though he was still in the hospital, control of Vance was quietly returning to him, piece by piece. Jason was completely hollowed out. His projects were suspended, the money taps were turned off, and every loyalist he had slipped into the boardroom was rooted out, one after another. He ended up frantic, spending his days either screaming at colleagues or drinking himself numb outside the office. Mindy wasn't faring any better. With Jason's funds dried up, the lavish life she'd counted on evaporated overnight. The limited edition bags she coveted, the Michelin star restaurants she wanted to check in at, every whim drowned in empty accounts. They fought about it constantly. One afternoon I was peeling an apple for Adrian when Jason burst in. Drunk, reeking of whiskey, eyes bloodshot. Adrian. He rushed to the bedside and grabbed Adrian's collar. Was it you? Are you the one screwing me over? Startled, I jumped up and tried to pull him back. Jason, are you insane? Let go. Adrian stayed calm, not even a flicker in his brow. He lifted a hand and easily pried Jason's fingers away. I'm just taking back what's mine. His voice was quiet, but it carried absolute command. Yours? Jason laughed as if he'd heard the world's best joke. Vance belongs to me too. Who says you get to take all of it? Because I'm the firstborn. Because I'm the rightful heir. Then what am I? What the hell am I? Jason screamed, half crazed. You? Adrian met his gaze, icy. You're nothing but the mistake my father made in a moment of stupidity. The words drove straight into Jason's deepest wound. His illegitimate status had always been the thorn he couldn't remove. You. He shook from head to toe, pointing at Adrian, unable to speak. Finally he swung his rage toward me. He spun and seized my wrist. And you? Lily. You scheming? Were you whispering poison in his ear? Were you two in bed together from the start? His grip was iron, pain shot through my arm. I struggled, but couldn't break free. Suddenly a large hand clamped down on Jason's wrist with the force of a lightning strike. Adrian. He had gotten out of bed and now stood between us. He still wore a hospital gown, his frame thinner after long illness. Yet in that instant the aura radiating from him felt overwhelming. Let go. Adrian's voice wasn't loud, but it pierced like an icicle straight into Jason's ears. Jason recoiled as if burned, releasing me instantly. He stared at the older he'd assumed would die in that bed, now a mountain blocking his way to Lily. I'm telling you one more time, Adrian said, tightening his fingers until Jason's face contorted in pain, don't touch her, bro. Cold sweat broke across Jason's forehead. Get out. Adrian offered no opening for explanation. With a sharp push he flung Jason aside. Jason stumbled, crashing into the wall in disgrace. He threw us a venomous glare, then slunk away like a rat. Quiet returned to the room. Adrian released him and bent to examine my wrist. Fair skin bore several scarlet marks. His brows drew together, a flash of heartache in his eyes. He lifted his gaze. Does it hurt? I shook my head. It did, actually, but watching him shield me, the sting suddenly felt trivial. He said nothing, simply went to the cabinet, took out the first aid kit, and began applying ointment with painstaking care. His touch was gentle, cool fingertips brushing my skin, sending a faint tremor through me. I studied the focused line of his profile and felt my heart skip its rhythm again. Adrian. You were really hot just now. His hand paused, he looked up. Our eyes met, and his ears flushed scarlet at a speed visible to the naked eye. I couldn't help laughing. So even he could get shy. He cleared his throat, awkward, and continued with the ointment. He won't bother you again. The company cleanup is almost finished. When I'm discharged, we'll move out. Huh? I blinked. Move out? Don't want to? He raised an eyebrow. It's not that. I hesitated. Our marriage had started as a transaction. Now he was awake. The premise for that deal no longer existed. Logically, we should be talking divorce. He seemed to read my thoughts. Lily, he said, setting down the ointment and looking straight at me, do you still think this marriage is nothing more than a contract? I was speechless. Was it? I didn't know. All I knew was that the second he stepped between me and Jason, my heart had turned upside down. Lily, he cut in, voice low and grave, give me one more chance. Give yourself one too. Let's try being a real couple. What do you say? Sunlight poured through the window, draping him in gold, galaxies glittering in his eyes. I stared at him and, possessed by the moment, nodded. 7. The day Adrian checked out, his parents threw a lavish recovery gala on the lawn of the Vance estate. Everyone who mattered in Riverdale showed up. They all wanted to witness the rumored resurrection of the Vance heir. Adrian wore a perfectly tailored black suit, tall and imposing. He kept his arm around my waist while he introduced me to the guests. This is my wife, Lily. Pride shimmered beneath his calm tone. I wore the champagne gown he had personally chosen, smiling with practiced grace on his arm. Together we made a striking pair, drawing envious glances. The Vance heir and Vance, perfect match. Yes, I heard she never left his bedside when he was comatose, so touching. Their compliments made me uneasy. Only I knew how sordid the opening act of this devoted marriage had been. While I was lost in that thought, the arm at my waist tightened. Adrian leaned close. Something wrong? Uncomfortable? No. I shook my head and smiled. In the distance Jason and Mindy arrived as well. Jason looked haggard, hair uncombed, suit rumpled. Ellis. By his side Mindy's belly was already prominent. Watching us, her eyes burned with jealousy and resentment. Security kept them on the outer fringe, two unwelcome intruders. Mid-party Adrian took the stage to thank the guests and announce he would formally assume control of Vance. Applause thundered. I stood below the lights, heart racing as I gazed at the dazzling man above. This man, he is my husband. The realization set my pulse racing again. Suddenly a discordant figure tore past security and staggered to the center. Jason. He looked deranged as he dropped to his knees in front of me. Gasps rippled through the crowd, the band fell silent. Every gaze locked on us. Face streaked with tears, Jason clutched my leg like a broken child. Lily, I was wrong. I was so wrong. I never should have broken our engagement, never should have made you marry my brother. Forgive me, will you? Let's get back together. I was stunned speechless by the sudden spectacle. I stared at Jason on his knees, dignity abandoned, and found the scene both absurd and pathetic. Jason, have you lost your mind? I haven't, he screamed. Lily, I really love you. Only after I lost you did I realize I can't live without you. Please, please don't discard me. Or. He glanced at Adrian, whose face on the dais was equally thunderous. Or I can serve you together with older, let me be the lesser one. Deal? I almost laughed myself sick. What on earth is stuffed inside this man's head? On stage, Adrian's face had darkened to the color of storm clouds. He set the microphone down and strode toward me. 8. Adrian stopped in front of me, towering over the kneeling Jason. His gaze was colder than a Siberian front. My wife is someone you can touch. He pulled me behind him, the movement forceful yet gentle. Then he lifted his foot and, without mercy, kicked Jason square in the chest. Jason grunted, toppled backward, and crashed onto the grass in a heap. Security! Adrian's voice cracked with fury. Drag this mongrel out. Several security guards stepped forward, hoisted the still wailing Jason, and hauled him off like a dead dog. Lily! Lily, listen to me. Jason kept shouting, unwilling to accept defeat. Mindy stood nearby, her face bloodless. She rushed over, not to help Jason, but to jab a finger at my nose and shriek. Lily! You witch! You seduced Jason ages ago, didn't you? You couldn't stand seeing us happy. I looked at her coldly, contempt brimming in my eyes. Mindy, you once cried and begged me to give Jason up, said you couldn't live without him. What now? He's garbage you don't want, so you try to dump him back on me? Let me tell you, Lily, never pick up trash. Mindy choked, her face flashing red then white, unable to spit out a word. Adrian's arm circled my shoulders as he told his assistant, from today, these two are banned from every Vance property, malls, hotels, the lot. The assistant murmured, yes, sir, which meant Jason and Mindy would find Riverdale a city with no doors open to them. Mindy's strength evaporated, she slumped to the ground. A perfect banquet had been reduced to chaos. Adrian apologized to the guests and ended the party early. Back in our room I noticed my hands and feet trembling. Not from anger, not from fear. Watching Adrian defend me, my heart skipped a beat. He poured me a mug of hot water and pressed it into my hands. It's over. I cradled the cup, head lowered, saying nothing. What are you thinking? He asked. I'm thinking. I lifted my gaze to him. If we weren't married, would you still treat me like this? He paused, then smiled. No. My heart dipped. Because, he stepped closer, wrapping me from behind, chin resting on my hair, if I hadn't married you, I'd still be scheming how to steal you from Jason. My heart felt slammed by something warm and heavy. His breath tickled my ear. You. From the first second I saw you, I liked you. His voice was crystal clear in the hush of night. You were Jason's girlfriend then, coming for dinner. You wore a white sundress, sat opposite me, eyes curved like crescents when you laughed. I thought, if only this girl were mine. So when Jason pitched that insane trade, I agreed at once. It was the only chance I had to keep you near. He spoke in a torrent. Each word plunked into the lake of my heart, sending ripples outward. So I wasn't the only one plotting from the start. He was the deepest hidden hunter of us all. I turned to meet his fervent eyes. Adrian, you liar. He lowered his head and kissed me. I only ever lie to you. The kiss was feather-light, soft, yet it hit me like an electric current. I closed my eyes, rose on tiptoe, and kissed him back. Outside the window, the moon hung just right. Our story had only just begun. 9. After that night, Adrian's and my relationship shifted qualitatively. We were no longer a contract couple, we behaved like real lovers. He took me to the office and let me read in his glass-walled suite. At noon we lunched together. He remembered, no scallions, no cilantro, extra spice. After work he shopped with me, went to movies. Unlike Jason, who only cared about looking cool, Adrian endured outfit after outfit, offering honest opinions. Before the film he bought popcorn and Coke. Jamie we nested at home, he pored over files, I binge-watched shows, separate yet in perfect harmony. Sometimes he'd glance up, walk over, wrap me from behind, kiss my hair. I loved that quiet warmth. So this is what it feels like to be treasured. I heard what befell Jason and Mindy. The family cut Jason off, he left with nothing. Debts he'd racked up under the Vance name came knocking. He sold cars, sold property, barely scraped even. Now he's a salesman at a rinky-dink company, stressed over quotas daily. Mindy, after a savage fight with Jason, went into early labor. The baby didn't make it. Her parents disowned her when they learned everything. She tried crawling back to Jason, he blamed her, hit her, cursed her. In the end they split, ugly and loud. Word is Mindy tends bar now, thick makeup, living on tips and insults. When I heard, I felt nothing. They chose their endings. It has nothing to do with me. My life now is happiness. Today is my birthday. Adrian said he had a surprise. He blindfolded me and led me onto a helicopter. When the ribbon fell away, I gasped. Under a bowl of stars, a ribbon of green fire danced across the sky. The aurora. Like it? He whispered. I nodded, too moved to speak. You said you wanted to see it. I blinked. When had I said that? Oh, back when he was comatose, I'd talked to myself beside his bed. He remembered everything. I turned, eyes stinging, and kissed him. He froze, then took over, deepening the kiss. Beneath the shimmering lights we held each other. At that moment I knew. This is the man I want for the rest of my life. Adrian. Let's hold another wedding. One that belongs only to us. He smiled into my eyes. Deal. 10. We married on a private island. No guests, no lavish rites. Just us, azure sea, white sand, coconut palms. I wore a simple white dress and a wreath of flowers. Adrian wore white shirt and trousers. Barefoot, we walked over soft sand toward an arch woven with blossoms. Sea breeze lifted my hem and his sleeves. In the sunshine he stretched out his hand. Lily, will you marry me, be my only wife, and stay with me all our lives? I smiled and slipped my hand into his palm. I do. He took a velvet box from his pocket and opened it. Inside was a simply designed diamond ring, the exact one I'd once seen in a magazine and loved. He lifted my hand and slid the ring slowly onto my finger. A perfect fit. He bent his head and pressed a reverent kiss to the back of my hand. Then he stood and folded me into his arms. Wife, I love you. I love you too, Adrian. On the beach we exchanged vows, rings, and the rest of our lives. That night we threw a tiny bonfire party on the sand. We grilled seafood, drank craft beer, and talked. I asked him, if I'd said no back then, what would you have done? He thought for a moment. I'd have kept pretending to be sick until you volunteered to take care of me. I laughed. So devious. Only for you. We talked for hours, about the past, the present, the future. When Jason's name came up I asked, do you hate him? He shook his head. No, just feels like a waste. He could have had a great life, but greed and stupidity ruined it. I said nothing. Greed really is the original sin. We lay on the sand, staring at the stars. The ocean, the wind, and the breathing of the man beside me wove the most beautiful symphony I'd ever heard. I turned my head to look at Adrian. His eyes were closed, lashes two tiny fans. I couldn't resist leaning over to brush a kiss across his lips. His eyes snapped open. Fire spread through them. He rolled me beneath him, voice husky. Wife, you're playing with fire. I hooked my arms around his neck and grinned like a fox. Then dare to burn with me? He answered with a low laugh, and action. That night, starlight and moonlight became the backdrop of our love. 11. When the island honeymoon ended we flew back to Riverdale. Life settled into routine, but the routine was sweet. We argued over what to cook for dinner like any ordinary couple. We woke each other with slow, sugary morning kisses. I quit my old job and opened a small studio where I teach kids to paint. Adrian backed me all the way, renovating the space, stocking supplies. On opening day he sent the biggest floral tower in the city, signed only anonymous. Because of him every day felt full and bright. His work was crazy, yet he always carved out time. He picked me up after class, watched me teach. The kids adored him, crowding around him shouting Lily. He ruffled their hair and handed out candy. Watching him surrounded by them, I suddenly wanted, badly, to give him a child. One that looked like him, and like me. When I told him, he froze, then crushed me in a hug. Lily, Samu. I didn't know why he was thanking me, but his trembling told me everything. We started trying for a baby. 2 months later I burst into his study waving a positive test. Adrian. We're going to be mom. He stared, papers forgotten, then swept me up and spun me round and round. Wonderful. I'm going to be dad. He grinned like a fool, so did I. Pregnancy turned me into a queen. No housework, meals plotted by our nutritionist, every prenatal checkup attended. He'd rest his cheek on my belly, reading stories and crooning lullabies, badly off key. 10 months later I gave birth to a healthy son. He had Adrian's eyes, Morgan eyes, and Adrian named him Riley, wishing him a life of peace and joy. Our twosome became a threesome, and life grew louder, fuller, happier. 12 years sprinted by. Nathan was 3. He looked more like Adrian every day but had my spark, vaulting around the house like a monkey. Adrian was hopeless, agreeing to every outrageous demand. I warned he'd spoil rotten our son, he only shrugged. My son, who else should I spoil? One afternoon I took Nathan shopping. In the garage I spotted a familiar figure, Jason, in a faded security uniform, waving cars forward. Age had streaked his hair gray and bent his back. Our eyes met. Embarrassment, regret, and defeat flickered across his face. I nodded coolly and turned to go. Lily, I paused. He rubbed his hands. Are you happy? Very. Good, good. His gaze drifted to Nathan. Your child? Yes. He looks just like you. I smiled but said nothing. Silence stretched. I'm sorry, he murmured. Back then, I was wrong. I know it's too late, but I had to say it. I studied him, the once dashing second son of the Vance dynasty, weathered into a stranger. It's all in the past. And it was every shred of love or hate washed away by time. I had my family, my happiness, he was paying the price for his choices. We lived in different worlds now. Daddy, Nathan broke free and dashed across the concrete. Adrian scooped him up, Cameron kissed his cheek, then slipped an arm around my waist. Everything okay? Ran into an acquaintance. Adrian glanced at Jason but said nothing, only held me a fraction tighter. Let's go home, let's. We walked away, the three of us, and I never looked back. Some people, some moments, once missed, are gone forever. I'm just grateful I caught my own happily ever after. The end. Sam you for listening. If you enjoyed the story, please like and share it with friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more tales. See you next time.